Guys, welcome back to another episode of Talking Throttle. We are back, baby. We are back.
Hope everyone is doing really, really well. But as you guys know, we are still in the summer break that apparently has to happen because apparently they need breaks. Ugh, ridiculous. Joking, obviously. But we're in the midst of the summer break at the minute, so I don't think we have another race now for like maybe 2 weeks. So this week I'm going to be focusing on two things in particular. I want to cover the news headlines that I've heard coming out of the F1 world so far. And then we're going to have our frequently asked questions section, which I'm not going to tell you anything about until it comes on. Stay tuned and you'll see what it's about. I want to go straight into it with the news headlines that I've heard from the F1 world this week because, girl, I was like buckled, okay? I really shouldn't have that. I think that should stay there. I need to keep that as a that's a distraction. Anyway,
news headline that is kind of cycling at the moment is that apparently from people high up in the world of Aston Martin F1 team, there's now pressure on Lawrence Stroll to allegedly get rid of his son, Lance Stroll, as a driver because apparently he's not performing well enough, and that Aston Martin, with new team members, very highly qualified team members coming in, which we've discussed previously. Aston Martin are looking to make a change and are looking to make a difference. And I think more senior people, potentially even stakeholders, are now looking to Lawrence to say, hello, what's going on? So for those of you who are not familiar with Aston Martin, let me give you a very, very, very quick breakdown. So Aston Martin, it speaks for itself, really. It's a very British team, very elegant. It's like, when you hear of Aston Martin, you probably think of James Bond. So that's the team in terms of like who they are as a brand. Now, the team itself, so they've got two drivers, Lance Stroll, who I've mentioned a second ago, and then also Fernando Alonso. Now, to break down the two of them, Fernando Alonso's been racing in Formula One for a very, very long time. He has been driving since like the early noughties. I think he's left Formula One, but also returned back to it. But a very successful driver in his own right, won championships, and I think Lewis Hamilton's first championship, he may have stole it from him, or if not him, Felipe Massa. I don't know. Somebody's gonna shoot me down for getting that wrong, but leave me alone. It's been a long day, okay? So anyway, that's Alonso, and then you've got Lance Stroll, who's had a few podiums here and there. Still a relatively young driver. It's not like old, but I'd kind of say he's in the middle, if that makes sense. Like, he's not one of the rookies, but then he's not also one of the YGs. So he's like in the midst, around about being in Formula One at the same time as, say, like Pierre Gasly, potentially George Russell. I'd even say Piastri maybe as well. If I know, sorry, not Piastri, I'd probably say more Lando Norris, who's been around for a bit longer. So with that being said, the issue that they're having at the moment with their two drivers is that they've had the issues that Aston Martin are having at the moment are this. So they've had obviously the upgrades, and it almost seems as though one of their drivers are outperforming the other one. So in past weeks, you've had Fernando Alonso pretty much get into Q3 a lot of the time. I mean, sometimes he'll be in Q2, meaning he'll start the race between like 10th and 15th, but in the past couple of weeks, he has been surprising everybody with that car, and he's been managing to like at least start in the top 10. Whereas his counterpart, his younger driver, his compadre, he's not doing as well. Like, he's just about getting out of Q1, maybe even Q2. Now, you may think, okay, like one driver is going to be better than the other. Like, it may not be that deep. Realistically, as I said to you earlier, I said Aston Martin then. Fernando Alonso is an older driver. Like, he is the oldest driver on the grid, the most experienced driver on the grid, which may sound like that sounds perfect, but in Formula One, it's all about reaction times. That's what it is. You're going around high speed corners. I don't know what happened. You're going around high speed corners, and you're going around corners at like 150 miles per hour. Stop playing. That's me really underestimating it as well. So with that being said, you need to be able to have the reaction time. So just like go around corners and drop back. That's what one of the most important components of being an F1 driver is your reaction times. And as you get older, your reaction times or your response times tends to get slower with age. I'm sure you can understand how that works. But in theory, because Fernando is the oldest driver in the grid, I think he's about 43, 44, 45. I'm not sure. But his abilities, he should be slowing down. So in terms of a team dynamic, why is it you've got your older driver performing much better than the younger driver who in theory should be a lot quicker in terms of their reaction times, in terms of their pace, in terms of everything? So that's why the question marks are now coming up statistically, which also doesn't help Lance Stroll's case, is that I think he's been outperformed by Fernando Alonso. I think 0 to 27 or 29. Let's go for the lower number just for the sake of it. But 0 to 27 times your teammate who's considerably older than you has out qualified you. When you look at the statistic that way, it makes you think, oh, okay, maybe there is actually a problem here. But for me, I've been on the fence about whether that is an issue for quite some time because I don't think they've been doing terribly. But then in the grand scheme of things, when I think about it more, Lance should be performing better. But this is where the drama or the kind of, ooh, la la la, what makes it exciting, that bit then comes in. So Aston Martin's team owner, the guy that owns the team, is Lawrence Stroll. That's Lance's dad. And I've been saying for the longest, I was talking to my friend about it a couple of months ago, and we've started talking about it again. I do not see Lawrence Stroll getting rid of Lance Stroll. I can't imagine. Just think about it theoretically, or just, I don't know, take the fact that it's F1 out of the equation. Why would any father have his son work for him and, despite his performance, turn around and say, you're not doing too well, son, so I'm going to go ahead and bring somebody else in because you're not doing everything that I need you to do? That then leaves his son available to go and drive for another Formula One team. If you owned a team, think about it just with your head. Would you feel comfortable with not only letting your son go, but letting your son go and potentially watching him go to one of your competitors? Why would you do that? And that is where the question marks are starting to come up now. And this is where people are kind of looking towards, Lawrence is looking towards Aston Martin because they're making these massive changes in the team, to the car, to everything, to the team, to everything as a whole. And one of the biggest question marks at the moment is whether team owner is going to let his son go or he's going to keep him on for the sake of him being kept on. I don't know. I personally think I know I've been I don't know, I've been on the fence with Stroll for a bit, but now I'm starting to feel for him a little bit because every time I hear Lance Stroll's name come up, it's never anything positive. 9 times out of 10, it's always negative. So, with that being said and done, I do feel like a little bit sad for him a little bit and just wish that the press wasn't so negative. However, it is quite funny though. Sorry, why am I seeing memes of people saying I love Formula One, I love watching 19 drivers and Lance Stroll go go around the track, and I'm like, do we have to do this and Lance Stroll business? 19 drivers and Lance Stroll. As fans, and I think whether you're like proper like into F1 or you're not, like I think there is a lot of negativity around Lance Stroll, and I do feel sorry for him a little bit because everyone kind of takes the piss, and everyone's just like, daddy's money, nepotism, like you're only there because of this. But we'll have to see. As I said, I'm standing firm on that he's not going to get rid of his son because I wouldn't. You want me to get rid of my son? You're going to get rid of me. Family comes first. Family comes over everything at the end of the day, and I don't see that happening. But you guys let me know what you think. I will keep an eye on it, obviously. If something substantial does come of that, I will obviously talk about it on the show, but it's just reports at the moment. But it is heavy speculation that now they're basically looking to Lawrence to say, are you getting rid of your son or not? The second story that's come out this week is now, before I go into the second story, I want to say that like the sources that I'm hearing this or reading this from, it's very like loose. Like I'm taking it with a massive pinch of salt. However, the reason why I'm talking about it is because I have seen a lot of talk about it. So the fact that there's a lot of talk about it makes me think it's plausible that there is a new team coming into Formula One, Cadillac, basically the Cadillac team. Now, I don't think Cadillac have ever been in Formula One before, so this is all going to be new. In terms of the drivers that they are taking on, it's basically 99.9% clear, done, signed off that one of their drivers will be Valtteri Bottas. Now, Valtteri didn't do too well when he was with Alfa Romeo, which was really, really sad to see, because before that he was with Mercedes and he was basically Lewis's number two. That's the kind of era of Formula One that I would see on the TV at like my nan's house, etc., etc. Valtteri he's an older driver. He hasn't been in the car for quite some time, and at the moment he is Mercedes' third driver. So I don't expect him to be phenomenal, but it depends on the car that Cadillac put forward. In terms of the second seat, there's a few names floating about, including potentially Sergio Perez, who got caught off from Red Bull. But this is where the Aston Martin comes in, because the news, or there are rumours apparently, that Cadillac are looking to appoint Christian Horner, sat in his corner, as their team principal. Hellos kind of around everywhere, because everyone's like, oh, this could be very interesting, because as much as I take the mick out of Christian Horner on this podcast, you know me, I have to give credit and props where props is due in it, because Christian's been in a Formula One team principal, or been in Formula One for many years. I think a team principal for almost 20. Like, the guy knows what he's doing. Not only has he had championship winning cars, but he's also won championships with the likes of, I don't know, it's like Sebastian Vettel and Max Verstappen, two massive juggernauts when it comes to the sport. So he knows what he's doing, there's no doubt about that. Now, going into a team like Cadillac, it won't be like a Red Bull. It will be a case where whoever goes into to manage a team is starting something fresh, starting something new. And I don't think the results are going to come quick and fast. They're not going to come overnight. I think it's a team that's going to have to find their ground, learn a little bit at first, whether that be the first half of next season or even the entire of next season. I don't expect them to come in on fire. However, if they take on somebody to lead the team like Christian Horner, I could expect their trajectory or their success or their, just overall positioning next season to be basically to be better than I just said. Because if you have somebody like Christian at the helm, Christian's someone that can come in and be like, bat, 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 bat. But number one, it's whether Cadillac are willing to kind of give him that green light and say, you take full control. Two, going to be operating, what is it that stakeholders are looking for? Is that going to match what Christian's looking for? Thirdly, not to mention, I know I say it a lot and I know I take the mick about it, but there is going to come some side eyes if Cadillac do decide to take Christian on. I don't think it will be like the end of the world. I don't think it will be world ending, but I do think there's going to be a lot of people, in particular fans, kind of looking like, that's who you choose? Okay, like that's it. Just because Christian's had a lot of I don't know, Christian's had a lot of speculation, a lot of little, trials and tribulations, so they say, trials and tribulations, over the last 2 years or so. So we'll have to see whether they make that decision. I think it'll be a risky one in taking somebody who's, had his fair share of negative press recently. It would be a risk taking somebody like that on, but we'll have to see what they decide to do. As I said, it's looking, from what I've seen in the articles, it's looking like a done deal, but I don't trust who's talking. I don't know. We'll have to see. If it does get released, that will definitely be making another video on that, because if they do decide to do it, I've got some things to say. But let's say that conversation for another day. Sorry, I've just knocked over my little Lewis. My little Louis. Oh my gosh, talk about my little Louis. I got something to show you, actually. Yeah. Wait a minute. Let me pause you. Oh my god, I almost dropped it. Yeah, man. I would love to show you the bad boy that is the W14 Mercedes Formula One car in Lego. You guys don't know how obsessed I am with this. Look at her. Look at it. Look at it. You're not looking at it, are you? Look at it. Oh, it's so cool. Wait. Y'all don't know about that? That's engineering, baby. I don't know what is going on or how that's making that work, but somehow I put the pieces together to make it work. But I wanted to show it to you guys because I thought it was really cool. This weekend, divas. So this weekend I went to a family wedding, which was really exciting. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Ellis. every single time. Love you both. But I went there and it was great. It was great to see the whole family. It kind of felt like a bit of a family reunion. Like everyone was doing the thing. Okay, I did the thing was done. Okay. So I went there anyway, and funnily enough, the groom, my cousin, he shout out to him. He's a massive Formula One fan, and obviously it was his big day. I didn't get to speak to him for long. I can imagine speaking to everybody, but we did speak a little bit about the podcast, and I introduced it to him, explained why I've got into it, and just that we're both into the sport. I think I love more than standing around and talking about Formula One. Like it's just like it's in the blood. I had loads of my family members who I haven't seen since I've started this podcast, talk to me about it, ask me questions. I've had people approach me, like my cousin. I'm not going to say any names on here because y'all don't need to know my business like that. But one of my cousins, the minute I seen her, she was just like, yes, Miss Podcast. And I'm like, that's me, baby, that's me. But aunties, I couldn't believe it. Like, aunties, like older heads, of like, yeah, watch like the first 2 episodes. I don't expect them to watch all of it. Like they're all adults and they're not into this type of stuff. But the fact that they had taken the time to do so really meant a lot to me. But you don't seem like the type of person that would be into it, and I think you'd be right by assuming that. It's a fair assumption. I'm not like a petrol head per se. I just love racing. So the story behind that is very simple, really. I got a new job a couple of years ago, and it was the first time I had moved out, and I was like looking for something interesting to watch, something that I can get my teeth into, but it's not dark. I don't want anything dark, but then I also want something with substance. I don't want like horror or action. I don't want to see nobody die. I just want a feel good show. I put on Drive to Survive, and let me tell you, I was absolutely hooked. The way that Netflix designed that show and they put everything together, each drivers, the race, the drama, everything, I was headlock. And I'm sure if you go onto my TikTok now, there is still a video of me watching the first couple of seasons and making a TikTok of me saying, show recommendation, watch Drive to Survive. Danny Rick was another big reason for me getting into it. Of course, I knew who Lewis was. I just fell in love with Danny Rick. I'm not even going to sit here and pretend like I didn't. I was obsessed with Daniel Ricciardo. And it's so sad to see him leave the way that he did. But either way, that was how I got into it. The other question I had a lot of was, what's the reason for you starting this podcast? Why is it that you randomly just done it? I've always been into vlogging. I've always been into like media and creating content. It's just always been finding something to do it on, something that I'm actually passionate about, but then also doing something that's like not just creating content for the sake of making content. Like I want it to have substance. And I went to the British Grand Prix this year, and I know I posted a lot about it. I will probably do another vlog actually about what that experience was like. And there was a few girls that I met there, and shout out to Rosie and shout out to Elsa, because both of those girls were so lovely. And one thing I loved was that, I kid you not, for 3 hours, nothing short of 3 hours, me and Rosie were standing behind my car in the campsite talking about F1. And I loved it because it was so refreshing to speak to another woman who's just as much into F1 as I am, and is just as knowledgeable as I am, if not say more. Like, she knew her stuff. She was and I tell her, she's not my age. She's a few years younger than me. She's just in university at the moment, but she knew her stuff. And then also Elsa as well, like a genuine lifelong friend I've made in her. I literally finished my conversation with Rosie, and I remember I was dropping Elsa back to the train station, or dropping her somewhere anyway after the weekend had finished, and we were talking. She said, look, if you do the podcast, if you go home now and make your podcast and just start recording and just going for it, then I will go home and I will start posting TikTok, and I will make a TikTok. And then we were like, bet. Lo and behold, this is now my 7th episode of Talking Throttle, and if you haven't, or I don't imagine you will do, but I'm introducing you to it, go and check out Elsa Travel. I think it's Elsa Travels on TikTok, and she started her pod TikTok as well. So the truth of the matter is, I know it sounds really cringy, but I made this podcast because of 2 lovely girls that I met at the British Grand Prix that kind of inspired me to do it, because why not? Like, what harm is it gonna do? Just sitting behind the camera and talking about what you love. Go for it. So that explains that. That's how I got into Formula One. That's how the podcast started. Now, where is this podcast gonna go? That's the £1,000,000 question. I don't know. My focus is at the minute is just creating, like, just basically talking about what I love, and just, monitoring everything that happens over the coming week, over the coming seasons, and hopefully build a community of people that enjoy the same. And if you're not into F1, don't worry about it, baby girl. I can show you. I can show you, mama. I can show you. Anyway, I think that is it. I think I've covered everything that I wanted to. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe below for me. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Music, hello there. No, make sure that you like it, follow the show, drop us a comment, and also give us a couple of stars as well. I mean, give me a few, give me like 1 or 2, whatever I told you about. But we will be back next week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week, Tuesday, same time. Thank you. Bye. Bye.